There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, we'll be getting back to the JRC as per usual. But first, folks, the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be there in the description box. Please, in particular, take a good look at the link for the massive archive Autistic Koya has put together for us. It has pretty much all things JRC and is pretty much the reason why I say our receipts have receipts. Click on the link, you will be able to see quite quickly exactly what I'm talking about there. We also have the link to Neuroclastics' article, the one where they surveyed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so-called behavior modification program. It is the very same article that the JRC threatened Neuroclastic over with a defamation lawsuit. They didn't remove it from their website. Neuroclastic refused, so folks, you know the deal. Please read it. Share it on all your social media. And as always, we also have Neuroclastic's GoFundMe linked in there as well, in case the JRC ever does see through with their threat. Because unlike them, we obviously don't have unlimited funds at our disposal quite the way they do. If you can donate, I know they would appreciate it. If you can't, please share it. They'd be grateful for that as well. Trigger warnings. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to go ahead and utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is advised. If you are a MAGA Republican, trigger warning, this channel is not for you. If you are an RFK Jr. fan, this channel is very much not for you. You see, we, as a part of the neurodivergent movement, do not feel comfortable with the fact that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. feels entitled to get unlimited access of our medical records, our prescriptions, our mental health records, even being able to monitor us by the means of smartwatches, without our knowledge and without our consent. And all of us are pretty much done with saying, but why are you against curing autism? First off, there is no cure. There is likely to be no cure, at least not any time within my lifetime. Essentially, you're giving someone unmitigated access to all of my extremely vulnerable and important medical information so that RFK Jr. can then monitor us while simultaneously taking all of your Benjamins and setting them on fire. Okay? We here on this channel do not stand for that. Just because we have developmental disabilities does not mean that we don't have a right to our privacy, to our autonomy, and to self-determination. The genie has been out of the bottle for far too long. You can't rewind the clocks back and then try to stick us back all in the institutions again. It's not going to work. And none of us are going to sit here and twiddle our thumbs when our private medical information is at risk. And let's face it, folks, lawsuits are just the beginning. What he is asking for violates both ADA and HIPAA law, and I don't play. Okay? ASAN doesn't play. Neuroclastic does not play. People First does not play. ARC does not play. We are never going back to the 1950s, no matter how much some of you would like to. And we will fight back. After all, I've been doing it my whole life. And I promise you, there's still a hell of a lot of fighting me left. And I have no problem in going to war to protect my own. All right. Now that that rant is over, folks, let's go back to where we were yesterday. I do want to make a comment before we get into today's paragraph, though, because this is a common tactic that the JRC utilizes, but they are by far not the only ones who do so. You see, we're getting towards the end of April, and if you ever notice the infomercials send money to this non-profit or that non-profit every Autism Awareness Month, do you ever notice that they hone on specifically and hardcore videos showing young children having meltdowns? Statistics in regards to how self-injury can lead to death. Now, I'm not saying that these things are not true or that they're not serious, but they lean into it extremely hard, just like a used car salesman is going to lean on hard on you to get a overpriced sports car because he recognizes when somebody may be having a midlife crisis and they want that bright, shiny commission. It's because fear-mongering brings in billions of dollars every single April to all these orgs. The most notorious is Autism Speaks. Now, if you heard RFK and you've heard his comments in recent days, right? In particular, in regards to destroying families and doing divorces. He's not the first person who's made those comments. In fact, there was a particular video that Autism Speaks put out back in 2009 during Autism Awareness Month that essentially pulled out all the exact same comments that you heard out of RFK Jr.'s mouth. So when we in the neurodivergent movement tell you that we've been fighting this man for decades, we know who his allies are, and it's only recently, due to immense pressure for 2 decades on Autism Speaks, to begin to move them away at least from the major conspiracy theories, RFK didn't come up with that all by his lonesome. Go back and look. You can find them on YouTube. Some of these autism awareness commercials that they use, and then they give you the link for you to send their money. It's, again, the same tactics as used by used car salesmen, which I have a particular vantage point on, because although my uncle was extremely good at what he did in starting his dealership and doing the rent-to-own car business, he never sounded like that, but I've seen some former employees from back in the day that were under him he had to mentor, because when they first came out on the lot, when we were kids, kind of waiting while him and my mom talked before we headed out to his house to go swim in his lake. Because, yeah, anyways, you get the point. Yeah, it's about the money. It's always about the money. And if anybody wants to try and tell me RFK Jr. is different, he's not. He's not. Not even a little bit. Okay? He's looking to make a name for himself, like the other folks inside the Kennedy family. The problem is, he's gullible as a goldfish. He got in with the wrong crowd, so what he's trying to use to make his mark is based off conspiracy theory and bad pseudoscience. So, I just wanted to make that comment because I wanted to make you aware. This is not rare. This isn't something that's just come out of nowhere. This is something that has always been just barely beneath the surface of a lot of autism awareness orgs. That's why there's a lot of pushback from the neurodivergent community that want it to be more of an autism acceptance month. Want to know why they don't join us? Because there's more money in fear-mongering than there is in teaching acceptance and teaching the populace to treat people with respect, regardless of if they are different or not. See, that doesn't bring in money. Fear-mongering does. If somebody's trying too hard to sell you something, you should always question why. If you have a place like the JRC just leaning in on a particular area, have no doubt they're trying to sell you something. And the harder they lean into it, the more desperate they actually really are. Alright, so let's go ahead into this next paragraph. Importantly, this is not a case in which patients or their parents and guardians seek access to untested or experimental treatment. ESD treatment has been studied for decades, has been found to effectively suppress SIB and AB, and the FDA has cleared ESDs and historically permitted treatment with ESDs. We're going to rewind this back a little bit. You see, the device that has actual studies behind it, yes, it's an ESD, but it's not the GED device. It is a previous device known as the SIBIS. In fact, before Dr. Israel created the GED device, They originally started with the SIBIS. Now that device is actually designed to do just a little jolt that they constantly try to convince you the GED does. Very similar to a version of static electricity suddenly getting you to jump. Or when you're young and you figure out for the first time if you like run your feet across the carpet real fast in your socks and like, poke your brother in the arm, you'll get a shock. That's the same sort of thing with the SIBIS. That is the one that actually has studies behind it that are not just from the JRC. The SIBIS and the GED's similarity is the fact that they're both skin shock devices. That's where the similarity begins and ends. The reason why Dr. Israel went back and created the first GED device was he felt like over time that the reason that the kids were still having behaviors, in spite of having that little shot there, was because, and I shit you not, these are his words, the shock wasn't painful enough. Let me say that again. He felt the shock of the SIBIS, the little one, just there to get your attention, not trying to hurt you. It wasn't painful enough. Folks, it wasn't painful enough. If that doesn't make you stop in your tracks and wonder what is actually going on, then there may be something wrong with you. The GED device was created because Dr. Israel felt the SIBS machine wasn't doing enough to cause pain to the individuals wearing it, so it would stop the behaviors. You see the interviews. Yes, it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. It's like when you get a surgery and that hurts. Please never make that argument again. Before surgeries take place, there are a lot of measures taken to make them as uninvasive and as painless as humanly possible, both before, during, and after surgery, including sending you home with papers on how to take it easy with yourself and the things that you need to do to assist in your healing. They also give you pain medication to help you manage at least a little bit of that pain that's inevitably going to be there because where you had surgery at, that area is healing. The GED device, on the other hand, is uniquely and specifically designed with the intent in mind to cause another human being physical pain. If you all don't know how to tell the difference between those two, you have no business being anywhere in this field. Okay? Yeah. So, I got onto that because, yes, there are studies for the SIBIS. It was not just used in one place. There's more differences too. The SIBIS machines that are in use to assist others with things such as helping to stop alcoholism or helping to stop smoking. The individuals who get those devices to help them have full control over the machines that they are wearing. There is not a third party in the background with a remote control that can trigger their devices at any time. They're wearing the device. They can hit that little button to help them kind of punch down on their impulses, for lack of a better way of putting it. Know what I'm saying? The person wearing the SIBIS is the person controlling the SIBIS. The GED device was designed with the intent on mind to cause the wearer intense pain. That's specifically what it's designed for. Not just that, but the consent of the wearer of the GED device doesn't appear to matter to anyone. They're like, but we get the consent of the parents. Are the parents the one that have to wear that device 24/7? But they've tried it, and they said, did you actually put it on the same level of voltage that those kids were going to be experiencing those shocks in? We know the answer to that question. No, you did not. Okay? Please spare us. Someone like Andre McCollins does not start screaming for mercy and begging for their lives from getting just a tiny little shock that feels like a bee sting, okay? Please stop insulting all of our intelligences. We have the surveillance video. Alright? Just said. The only actual studies that we have that are solely based on the GED comes from the JRC, which is also the exact reason why their conclusions cannot be accepted. Because they're the ones who make the device. What is hard to comprehend here? Have you all never heard of confirmation bias before? Seriously. And it's not just that, but the studies they put forward on their own device are so nonsensical. I could get more valuable information attending a science fair from a third grader and seeing their science fair project for the year. Okay? You all do. JRC is given no follow-up from any of those kids that they put in those studies. But obviously it concludes that this has long, wonderful effects. Permanent behavioral challenges go away like magic, and they have a better quality of life. My ass. Okay, source? Just trust me, bro. No. I don't do just trust me, bro. I need to see the receipts. I need to see data from the kids that were in that study a year, 5 years, 10, 15, 20 after that study that can show me comprehensively that after leaving your center and the GED treatment behind, it can show me that those behavioral changes remained and that there was actual improvement over quality of life. JRC answers that with, nah. Just trust me, bro. You see, we got this testimonial here on our YouTube channel, and he's just going to tell you that he's going to college and... No. That is not a receipt. That is a bad car commercial. I need to see the receipts. I need to see the data. I need to see the numbers. I need to see the follow-ups. Oh, no, you don't. You see, I talk to them on the phone. Okay, call them. Call them on the phone right now. We'll put it on speaker. Oh, no, we don't need to do that. See? Exactly. So as a matter of fact, JRC, no, it has not been studied for decades. The SIBS machine has. Your device is not the SIBS machine. You cannot use the data from that device to boost your own device. One of those devices was designed to act like just a little static shock to alert and get your attention. The other device is designed with the intent in mind to cause intense physical pain. Dr. Israel's own words, not mine. So please stop with the gaslighting nonsense. I've had nearly 20 years of it. All right, let us continue. But it stops SIB and AB, and the FDA approved of it before. Wouldn't you know it, folks? Medicine evolves. The more we learn, the more medicine evolves, changes, becomes better, right? It's kind of why, lobotomies are not all the rage anymore. Because we understand that scrambling people's brains is not the best way to pursue quality of life. Right? Yeah. Now, that means, because we know a whole lot more now, JRC, and because medicine evolves, the FDA is not just going to sign off on your insanity with no questions asked anymore. Especially not after that Andre McCollum's video got out in 2012. Okay? Nor are we just going to sit here and take your word for it when you are providing no data. I don't want a testimonial. I don't want your horrific bad car salesman promo where it says, see, this student used to be with us and now they're in college. No. Please, for the love of God and all that's holy, spare me the used car salesman trick, okay? You're horrible at it. My uncle would have, fired you even before he hired you. You open your mouth to begin your spiel and he'd be like, nope, out of this office. Security. All right? We're going to read the next sentence here. FDA has not demonstrated any compelling interest in now denying continued access to such treatment for patients who needed to treat their life-threatening and deliberating SIB and AB, and for whom the treatments FDA deems state-of-art. You don't understand. They need it. If they're not getting abused, they're gonna have behaviors. I'll give you some behavior. I'm gonna give you the certified Brenda O treatment. And believe me, that's not something you want. You'll think life-threatening. What's called state-of-the-art is your terminology. The actual terminology is current standard of care, which in layman's terms means literally what all the rest of us in this field use. Literally. Globally. What everybody else uses. Just to put that in perspective for you all, because I know the JRC won't. It's the global standard of care for neurodivergent folks. Okay? Big difference there. But that's just positive behavioral therapies and medications, and they're not successful. How the hell would you know, JRC? You've never tried them. But we did. We did. No, you didn't. Because you don't even know what they are. You consider any kind of therapy that has no physical adversives of any kind allowed as positive behavioral therapies. That is exactly how little you actually know in regards to the positive therapies, the positive behavioral supports out there. I call it a big umbrella term because there's a lot of things that are underneath that umbrella. Person-centered planning and person-centered therapy, which is what I've been on since I've been 19 years old. I'm still on it now. You want to know why? Because quite obviously, this may not be any mansion or the Ritz, but I have a large apartment with 2 full bathrooms and my own weight room, where I have a climber, a rower, an elliptical, and also where I financially support my habit of multiple kettlebells, because I'm insane, and for whatever reason, I am now addicted to constantly using weights when I get pissed off to help calm me down. Okay? Obviously, in spite of my childhood, in spite of the fact that I had some major, in particular, self-injurious behavioral issues when I was younger, and aggressive behaviors when I got older. So stop with, it's never been successful. It's never been successful for kids like we have at the JRC, because the data doesn't back you up. I can just simply tell you that from my own life story. But the data backs us up, JRC. You don't have any data. At least not any data that's worth anybody actually taking the time to look at it. And those few, us poor few, who actually seen your data have come away from it feeling like we might need an additional therapy appointment just to kind of compartmentalize and make sense out of whatever that mess was supposed to be before we're able to function normally again. Not even lying. First time I read through that, it broke my brain. Alright? We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and folks, as always, please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you have a good one. And I'll be seeing you all again here in just a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.